Hello everybody, this is Kiana Mayfield from LibraLunaCenter.com and welcome to your weekly forecast for the week of June 19th through the 25th, 2017. And it is a new moon in Cancer this week, and I know I'm so late with these videos. I missed last week's. I meant to create a video on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, but I actually didn't feel better by that time, and I was very busy in the middle of it, so I've just been super wiped out for most of this week, as I'm sure most of us have, with the Sun opposing Saturn in retrograde, right? And today, on Friday, June 16th, Neptune just went retrograde. So, what a start, right? The week hasn't necessarily ended yet. As I'm recording this, it is Friday, so we still have a weekend to go through. And the moon has been in Pisces in a last quarter square, so it was squaring the sun, right? Yes. And the Sun and Mercury are getting ready to square Chiron as Neptune is stationing retrograde, right? So the veil is thinning, right? It's like we're all walking on a tightrope between two different realities, right? Two different dimensions. At this time, it can seem as if dreams, the dream world and the supposed real world, right, the material world, they're integrating, right? It's hard to tell the difference between dreams and reality at this point because the veil is super thin and there's a heightened sensitivity in the air, right? Direct guidance from the spiritual world has gone offline now. And the way to receive the guidance is through our own intuition, right? Through our own spiritual source within ourselves. And this has been emphasized extremely these past few days. So the energy can feel very not only confusing, but there's like almost a sluggishness, but not in the normal way, right? It is more dreamy, right? Hard to ground yourself, hard to keep yourself set in your normal routine. Because this energy is asking us to make breakthroughs, right? It's asking us to line up our reality with our spiritual nature, right? And there's a lot in between these two natures. There's this big gap, right? There's this wall almost that has been there for quite some time, and we're slowly breaking down this wall. We are slowly taking it apart, brick by brick. It is not an easy process. It is not something that can just be done overnight, right? But with Neptune stationing retrograde, this is emphasized extremely. This is helping us see that all along, this brick wall that has stood between our dreams and our reality, right? On one side of the fence is our reality, our current situation, our fixed state, right? What we believe is fixed about us and about our lives and about our situations, right? And on the other, our ideals, our dreams, our fantasies, our spiritual nature, our spiritual center, right? Two very different vibrations. And in between is this brick wall that we believe is real, right? Saturn in Sagittarius. We believe, right? Sagittarius rules beliefs. We believe it is real. Neptune, in a sense, rules beliefs as well. And it is in Pisces, which whose ancient ruling planet is Jupiter, the same as Sagittarius, emphasizing both of these signs. Both of these signs have to do with perspective, have to do with the fact that what we perceive as reality creates our reality, creates the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And with Saturn in Sagittarius retrograde, as the Sun is in Gemini, as Mercury is catching up to it, aligning with it, right? As our minds are catching up to our life force. And as both of these planets are in square to Chiron in Pisces and opposing Saturn retrograde in Sagittarius, forming a T-square. This intense pressure having to do with our perspective about reality, about who we are, about what we're capable of, right? And this brick wall that we are slowly tearing apart brick by brick, breaking down brick by brick so that we can see what's on the other side, see Neptune once and for all, right? Allowing it to become our reality. Neptune going retrograde is helping us see that all along the brick wall has never really existed, right? The brick wall has been an illusion. The brick wall has been self-imposed all this time, right? And it is a matter of believing that we need it to survive, that we need it, that we need the experience of having a brick wall in order to get to the other side, when all along we could have just went to the other side, right? And it is in that realization that we find our power, that we find our solution to our Saturn, to our fear. Because Saturn teaches us how to master our fear, right? How to master our fear of mastering this material universe, right? Mastering our place in this material universe, mastering our power within this material universe, because every other planet is filtered through Saturn, right? We live in a physical dimension, right? We live in a physical body with physical bones, physical skin, physical senses. And we cannot, in our current stage of evolution, experience anything differently, right? So every other planet that tries to express itself can only be filtered through Saturn, through this materiality, right? And it is, for some people, this can be a sense of impending doom because you realize you can never escape your body, right? But escaping the body isn't the point. Mastering the body is, because the body is the point of power in this material reality. The point of spirituality is not to escape, right? Escape into the heavens, because that is where we come from. The point of spirituality, of Neptune in and of itself, is to bring the dream down into the ground, right? Down into the earth. We are the stewards of this energy, waiting to be incarnated into our physical reality, waiting to be crystallized, right? It lives in the ether. It lives in the abstract realm. And our senses pick it up, right? Our senses are always tuning into this abstract realm. We have 1 million thoughts per day. But our ultimate power as human beings comes in taking what is abstract and making it concrete, right? That is how we master our fear. That is how we master our own power here. And ultimately, that is how this brick wall that we believe must exist, but is really an illusion, crumbles. It is how it dissolves. And it is how the dream, Neptune, right, can ultimately be lived. Okay, so this is something we've been experiencing this past week. And now, for this next week, right, 10 minutes in, we're finally getting to it. From Monday through Tuesday, the 19th through the 20th of June, this will be highly emphasized because the Sun and Mercury will be in the final degrees of Gemini, forming this T-square between Saturn retrograde and Chiron. And on the same day, the moon will be in Taurus, conjuncting Venus. As Venus is in sextile to Neptune retrograde. And both of these planets will be forming a quincunx to Jupiter, which has just gone direct. So ultimately, right? Ultimately, this is right around the time we will be getting into the summer solstice, which I will be doing a separate video on, but it ties into this whole week, right? And these final stages of Gemini, final stages, right? As it is in square to Chiron in Pisces and opposing Saturn retrograde. And the moon is on Venus, right? And Venus is sextile Neptune. Okay, so this is all about mastering our mind, right? This is emphasizing the energy I was just talking about, right? This is emphasizing the only way to master our Saturn is to master our mind, to master our mental perception, right? The only way to get past our wounds, our ancient karmic patterns, our sensitivities, our supposed limitations, right? our issues, our problems. The only way to move past them is to master our mind, to master our thought process, right? And to find the solutions to our own problems through our mind, right? Through our communication with the outside world, through the expansion of who we are, through the growth beyond our limitations. Everything that we thought we were, that we thought we were capable of, is being exponentially expanded, right? The definition of who we think we are, who we thought we were, right? We're realizing that we've been putting ourselves self-imposing in this self-imposing little bubble, in this self-imposed box, right? We have been keeping ourselves limited. And it is in this realization that we discover that we have the key. We have the key to our prison. And this heightened sensitivity that Neptune retrograde is giving us, and is in sextile to the moon and Venus in Taurus, is ultimately helping us understand what we truly need and what we truly want, right? And where we truly belong. And as Venus and Neptune are in quincunx to Jupiter, this realization of what is concretely valued, what is valuable to us personally, right? What we ultimately give greater meaning in our lives. This transformation will need to be integrated within how we relate to other people, to our most important relationships in our lives, who mean something to us, right? As well as our own inner balance, our own inner harmony, and how we can bring this sort of attitude to everything and everyone and every situation in our lives, right? Because ultimately we want to be a force of peace in our own lives as well as in all the lives we touch, right? We don't want to cause more chaos. We don't want to leave a footprint in that sense, right? We want to leave a legacy that means something to us. Sorry. And that brings us greater depth and harmony in our lives. Okay, so Jupiter going direct, right? It went direct during the full moon 2 weeks ago. And Jupiter in retrograde was all about learning what peace, harmony, love, balance, fairness, justice, what it really means by experiencing the opposite, right? And having the opportunity to cultivate these characteristics within ourselves before we can experience it outside of us, right? Before we can experience the mirror effect of it, right? Libra is the mirror. And as we have cultivated our own inner balance, our own inner harmony, our own inner sense of equality and justice, and discovering what that means for us internally, personally, for ourselves, not as a social construct, not as a social, sense of reason, right? Groupthink, almost. No, it's not about equality in the sense of what it means for everyone, what it means on a mass global scale, because it means something differently to each and every one of us, right? And Jupiter retrograde was emphasizing the need to create our own definition for that before we can pronounce it to the world and allow it to return to us, to mirror us, right? To see it reflected back to us. Before we can expect that, we must refine and define our own definition of it. And now, Jupiter going direct will be a chance, an opportunity to bring what we have cultivated internally, externally, allowing it to permeate its lessons, our sense of wisdom in our relationships, right? Whether these are new relationships or old ones. And for the next few months, actually, it will be emphasized on the return to not necessarily old relationships, but ones that you know, right? Okay, so stay on topic, right? And Jupiter will be pushing this energy forth for the next 4 months, right? Until around
September 6th, I believe, is when Jupiter comes out of shadow. And Venus and Mars will be getting ready to conjunct by then, which will be a big aspect for relationships. And Jupiter will be getting ready to go into Scorpio on October 10th. So,
before that happens, relationships. There's the need to come into some type of sacred union, right? Based on the internal harmony we have cultivated, and it must now be brought to the table, right? Okay, so Wednesday through Thursday, the 21st through the 22nd, we have the moon in Gemini, and it will be in its dark moon phase. A dark moon happens, is the phase right before the new moon, right? So we'll have a dark moon in Gemini as the sun moves into Cancer, and Mercury conjuncts it exactly. So it is forming a superior conjunction, 0 degrees Cancer, as there's a dark moon in Gemini, which is Mercury's, Mercury is Gemini's ruling planet, so we'll have a dark moon in Gemini as there's a superior conjunction between the Sun and Mercury in Cancer. So this is extreme emotional clarity. This is extreme an emotional need to for communication, right? Messages that we receive and that we send have a very, very, very large emotional impact. And there's a sense of nostalgia, there's a sense of homecoming, there's a sense of emotional serenity even, and our intuition, our feelings, as Neptune is retrograde as well. But as we are entering the Cancer season, our emotional bodies, our astral bodies are at an all-time high, at an all-time state of power right now. This is the time of the summer solstice, right? So we are entering cardinal sign since, for the first time since March 20th, right? The last time was when the sun went into Aries, and that began the spring equinox, which was the start of the astrological new year. And now we come to the summer solstice, which is while the spring equinox was about personality building, right? Personality building for this new year. Summer solstice is, okay, now we've built this personality, now we must integrate it. Now we must create from it, right? Now we must do something with this personality, with this new sense of self. We must create from ourselves. So, everything that has been up in the air is now being stabilized, right? As we are coming to home within ourselves, coming to our emotional center within ourselves. And there is this impelling urge to communicate how we feel. Impelling urge to communicate who we authentically are, right? There can be no two-facedness in a sense that you are repressing your emotions, right? If we repress our emotions at this point, it's going to be a very dark time, right? Because everything that we've gone through since the astrological new year began, or even since the calendar year began, right, in January, everything that we've gone through, and the experiences that it has cultivated us into, right? It has matured us into. It needs to be felt and it needs to be expressed authentically. And as we do that, we return to ourselves. We return to our soul, right? We return home and we come face to face with ourselves. We come face to face with who we really are. And from that point, we can create anything. From that point, we can live into our dreams. So, Wednesday, all the way to Friday is a buildup of emotion, a buildup of the need to express our emotions, to express how we feel, what everything means to us. So from Friday through Sunday, from the 23rd through the 25th, and on Friday specifically, we have the new moon in Cancer, 2 degrees. And it will be conjuncting Mercury and slightly conjuncting Mars. Mars is actually farther ahead, so it will be making a square to Jupiter in Libra, and forming a trine to Neptune retrograde. And as that happens, Venus will be in exact trine to Pluto, 18 degrees. Mercury will be throughout the weekend flying through Cancer. So by the end of the week, by Sunday, even though Mercury just went into Cancer on Wednesday, right? By Sunday, it will already be 8 degrees Cancer. So Mercury is flying, right? And it will be approaching a conjunction to Mars. So this is a big emotional week. Okay, so the pressure is on, but not in a sense where it's negative, more in the sense that we feel internally that this is the time right now to listen to our intuition, to listen to our feelings, to listen to our gut, and to act on it, to follow on our soul's urge, right? To follow where our instincts are leading us to, right? Wherever you feel drawn to, whatever you're drawn to, whatever you're pulled towards naturally, in whatever department or area of your life, right? Whatever is catching your attention, whatever is catching your feels, basically. This is where your heart and your home are, right? And in that acknowledgement of where your heart and your home are, where your soul truly wants to be, now's the time to express it, right? Now's the time to act on it. Now's the time to follow the feeling. And in following the feeling, as Mars is trining Neptune, right? Following the feeling. Being pulled by a higher force. Almost as if a higher force is leading you to your destiny, right? But this higher force is not felt directly, but more internally, right? Almost as if you're possessed with it, right? And Mars in square to Jupiter. I'm feeling strongly that this has to do with relationships. This has to do with the expansion of ourselves based on our emotions, right? Emotional expression within these relationships, right? Because Cancer and Libra are in square to each other, and Mars is in Cancer and Jupiter's in Libra. Jupiter emphasizing the need to expand. We expand our lives, we expand ourselves, we expand our identities, we expand our sense of peace, justice, fairness, love, equality, right? Harmony, beauty, through relationships, through the other, through our experience of the other, of something outside of ourselves, right? This is what this whole year has been about. The need to expand through other people, other environments, other thought processes, right? Other belief systems. And now Mars in Cancer, highlighting our drive for emotional integration, emotional polarization, for comfort, for a deeper sense of meaning, right? For heartfelt meaning, for heartfelt emotions, right? This is what we yearn for. Now, after a very high and dry time, right? At the end of it all, this is what we desire. And in square to Jupiter, how can we reconcile the two, right? How can we bring emotions while our personal, sense of emotion, our personal sense of emotional self-expression in the dynamics of our relationships, in the dynamics of how we interact with one another, right? Ultimately, we achieve harmony with the other by expressing who we are authentically through our emotions, right? Because how can we truly know one another without expressing this? And Venus, Libra's ruling planet, in Taurus, its domicile sign, another domicile sign, in trine, an exact trine to Pluto, retrograde, in Capricorn, Lord of the underworld. This is deep, right? This is very emotional. This is very powerful. And there's a need for everything that's transpired through our relationships, all of the stuff that Venus has been through this whole year so far, right? We heal that by confronting it. We heal it by confronting each other emotionally, by confronting our relationships, by confronting our power, by confronting the harmony that was not harmonic, right? We confront what has not necessarily been easy. And in that confrontation, we find our truth, we find our home, we find our heart, we find our soul, and we come to a deep sense of internal peace, calm, security, comfortability, and depth at long last. And the power finally is there to sustain it because Venus is trining Pluto. And this is getting to the heart of Venus, right? This is getting to the heart of what we truly feel underneath everything that has happened, right? And as we get to that point, we discover our power. And these next few weeks, as Mars is getting ready to oppose Pluto next week, and Venus is getting ready to square the nodal axis, there are major emotional commitments needing to come into play now. There are major there's a major cycle getting ready to culminate. But before that cycle culminates, we must come to terms with our emotions, right? We must come to terms with our history, everything that we've been through, everything that it has created in our emotional bodies, right? In our astral bodies. What we've really felt about it all along, right? How we feel about it now. We must come to terms with that, right? As we are mastering our minds, as we have come to the culmination of mastering our minds in the season of Gemini. Now, we have to go into the emotional realm. We have to get deep with it, right? We can no longer stay on the surface of thought, stay on the surface of the abstract, stay on the surface of the theory, of looking at it from, a bird's eye perspective, looking at one path and the other path and this path, right? Looking at multiple different angles of the same subject, perhaps, or multiple different subjects that are not related. Right? Now we have to get to what's personal. Because what's personal ultimately is what's real. Okay, so, yes, it's powerful new moon, and I hope you guys utilize it for all it's worth. I hope you guys find your sense of emotional centeredness, because this is where your soul is, and this is where what your soul ultimately wants to express. And as we dive into the summer solstice period, right, these next 3 to 4 months, right, until the autumn equinox in September, near the end of September, right, from the Cancer season through the Leo season through the Virgo season, is what this whole summer solstice period is about, right? And this is opening the doorway to everything, ultimately, that we've ever wanted. Because all that we've ever wanted has already existed within us, right? And it is in coming to terms with what we want, what we feel, what we desire, what we love, what means something in the core of our emotional bodies. Disregarding the abstract, disregarding the practical, disregarding the social taboos, right? At the core of it all. What do you want? What do you love? Where's your heart? Where's your home? Because this is where your soul is. So, and I know I got deep, and it will be a very deep week. It will be a very deep, several months actually. And I will be doing something new these next in the next couple weeks. I will be putting out July horoscopes for each sign, so be on the lookout for those. And I will be trying to get back on schedule with these videos. I had a bit of a hiccup. I was very sick. It started off with I drank some very hot coffee and my throat was like on fire. It was scorched, right? So I could barely speak, and I thought it would be gone by the middle of the week, right? But then over the weekend, as it happened, I guess
the scorchedness of my throat allowed something, made me susceptible to sickness, and I got sick. It started off with some random attack, right? I had like rigors, or whatever they're called, like shakes. Like I was shivering, but it was like a very, very bad shivering, like extreme shivering. Like I was in a tundra or something, and I couldn't control it. And then the very next day, I was hacking stuff up, and it was just ugly.
So I'm back, and hopefully I'll be getting on schedule for these next few weeks, and be on the lookout for the July horoscopes for your sign, for your sun, moon, rising, signs. And also I will be doing a summer solstice video. Yeah, so enjoy your week, enjoy your new moon, and I will see you all next week. Thank you. Bye.